Good morning, guys. I may not be here today, so that's why I'm recording this video. So first things first, hope everybody's having a great day, but we're going to go ahead and start with the lesson frame. So I'm going to start it. You guys don't have to follow this one. I'm just going to read it for you guys just so you know what we're doing. So today we will be multiplying radicals, then we simplify if needed. I will list the procedures needed to multiply radicals, then complete the example problems. Now, as you can see, make sure you go ahead and grab your notebooks. You can probably see right here. I'm going to have it on the board, but I just want to make sure I show you the video just to you so you know where everything is going to be today. So as you can see, I do have my table of contents. Go to page number 2. The things that we're going to do, we're going to be multiplying radicals, and we're going to go ahead and do that on page 20 and 21. All right. One thing I do want to make sure you guys need to finish the notes today. Okay, I'm going to be checking your notebooks tomorrow. I'm going to be taking that for a grade. So that's going to be the first grade for next or this week. Finally, you're going to come right here, right in front of the folders. And both papers, make sure you grab one of each. Pretty straightforward. Make sure you grab one of each. I'm going to put this at the very beginning of the video because maybe the sub didn't tell you. Maybe you guys didn't listen. But here it's going to be what you're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and the rest of the video is just going to be going over the entire notes. As soon as you're done with the notes, then you can put your stuff away and pick up all your stuff. But don't forget, phone to the front. This is basically what we're going to be working with. I'm going to go ahead and explain the rest like in the rest of the video, but just real quick. We're going to have 2 pages. The first page is going to be this one right here. Let me see if I can highlight it for you guys. Oh my god, I'm moving everything. This one right here is going to be the first page. That one's going to go on page 20. Okay, you're going to be gluing that on page 20. So once you finish the video or like the whole video for this, that's where that one's going to go. Now the other one, this one over here is going to go on page 21. Okay, so that one's going to go on page 21. That's the one that we're going to go ahead and do. Let me go back. That doesn't look too good. There we go. So this one's going to go on page 21. Now, how I recommend to do the entire video is pretty easy. First, watch the first couple problems that I do, and then go ahead and see if you guys can do it. There's going to be a couple things that you guys are going to have to learn. One of them is going to be the FOIL method, and the other one is going to be distributive method, okay? So I'm going to go more in depth once I'm back on Tuesday. I'm going to go over like about 3 problems, and I'm going to let you guys work on your teams, but I will go over those again. But just keep in mind, you're going to have to do the distributive property and the FOIL method for at least 3 and 3. Okay, you're going to notice it's going to be easiest problems on the top, second easiest problems on the middle, and hardest problems on the bottom. Okay, just keep that in mind. Just follow along. Make sure, try the problems by yourself. Complete all the notes. That's basically as soon as you're done, you can get your stuff. Okay, so I just want you guys to have the notes for Tuesday whenever I'm back. Okay, so have a great day, guys. So hopefully the intro's already over, and now we're gonna go ahead and just do page 20. This is gonna be page 20, so make sure you, whenever you finish with the notes, make sure you go ahead and glue your 2 papers into your notebook. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna be there today, so we're just gonna focus on this. I'm gonna start right away and start giving you the answer. So today we're gonna be going ahead and we're gonna be multiplying radicals. Yes, we're going to be multiplying radicals, so this is what we're doing, and this is the method that we're going to be using. So any radical, in other words, the only time that you can multiply radicals is whenever you have the same index. Okay, you need to have the same index whenever you're multiplying, so make sure right here you put index. That's the first thing I need you guys to understand. What's an index? I'm going to put a little example. For example, if you have a square root, you're going to multiply with square root. Now if you have a cube root, you're going to have to multiply with a cube root, or else you won't be able to multiply. For example, this case, you wouldn't be able to multiply, so I would have to make it into a cube root. So just keep that in mind. You need to have the same index whenever you're doing this. Alright, so that's the first rule. Now, the property that we're going to be using, right? So any radicals with the same index can be multiplied together using this property. So we're going to be using this property. It's pretty straightforward. So you're going to have the square root. It can be any radical, but we're just going to do the square root just to kind of make it simple. The square root of a times the square root of b. And what I want you to go ahead and do is you're going to write only one square root, And you're going to put both of them inside and you're going to multiply them together. Okay? So it's going to be the square root of a times the square root of b. It's going to be the square root of a times b. That's the method that we're going to be using for all of this assignment. Okay? Now, I want you guys to know something. You don't need to have the same radicand. Remember how whenever we were adding and subtracting, we need to have the same radicand? In this case, we do not need to have the same radicand. Okay, so make sure you put right here. You do not need to have the same radicand in order to multiply things together. You can just multiply whatever is in the inside, and we're going to go over what you do with the numbers on the outside. So steps to multiply radicals, okay? You're going to multiply the coefficients. So if you don't remember what a coefficient is, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to color coordinate it so you guys can see. Then you're going to multiply the radicands inside of the radical, and then finally you're going to simplify if you need to simplify. So let's look at example number 1. I'm trying to go as fast as possible because I know you guys get tired. So I'm going to be highlighting my coefficients first. There we go. Those are my coefficients. Are going to be numbers in front of my radical, and I want you guys to do this, okay? Well, I'm going to put a little line going from one to the other. That means I'm going to be multiplying those two. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other one. I'm going to color coordinate it differently so you guys know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to select those two, and those are going to be my radicands, okay? Those are not coefficients, those are radicands. So my radicands are going to multiply, and my coefficients are going to multiply. Now, what this means is that my outers multiply and my inners multiply, okay? Outer with outer, inner with inner. That's the easiest way to remember this. Whatever's outside, you multiply with whatever's outside. Whatever's inside, you multiply with whatever's inside. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So what is 2 times 3? It's going to be 6. What is 2 times 18? That's going to be 36. Okay, so we already did our multiplications. Pretty straightforward. Now let's go ahead and write it. Now, whenever you multiply stuff on the outside, guess what? It's going to stay on the outside. So that's 6. It's going to stay on the outside. And you're going to keep the same square root or the same radical that you were using. So in this case, we're using the square root. So I'm going to do the square root of. And the number that we're going to select is going to be the 36. Now, we finished step number 1, which is multiply the coefficients, check mark. Multiply the radicands, check mark. The only thing that we need to focus on is simplify my radical. This is what we've been doing forever, so I'm going to put it over here on the side. So it's going to be the square root of 6 and 36. Now, what gives me 36, right? What is going to give me 36? I remember 6 and 6, and then, if you remember, 2 and 3, and 2 and 3. That's supposed to be a 2. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and circle my pairs. So I have one right here, and I have another one right here. Okay, so what two numbers are going to go out? The 2 is going to go out, and the 3 is going to go out. So what's 2 times 3? 6. So in other words, I have 6 times 6 is equal to 36. Okay, we're done with the first one, right? Pretty easy. Now let's go ahead and do example number 2. Now we have two numbers, and I want you guys to focus on this right here. We have a negative. So what do we do with a negative? If you don't remember, just go ahead and think of radical as x or any variable. If you remember from like algebra 1, algebra 2, there's always an invisible 1 in front of your letters. In this case, we're going to consider the radical as a letter. So I know for a fact I have a 1 and 1. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 1 times negative 1. And then I'm going to multiply my radicands, which is the inside, so 3 times 5. I couldn't think there for a second. So I know I'm going to get negative 1 over there. And over here, let me make it bigger. That's negative 1. And over here, I'm going to get 15. Now, the negative 1's going to go ahead and stay outside. And then I'm going to keep the same radical, which is, in this case, the square root. And I'm going to put the 15 inside. Now, let's simplify 15. It gives me 3 and 5. Now, can I take anything out? No. So my answer for this one is just going to be negative 1 square root of 15, or negative square root of 15. Okay, the other one, what was my answer? I forgot to write it. It's going to be 36. Okay, I forgot to mention it. Now, that's going to be the first page. So as soon as you're done with this one, you can go ahead and glue it to your notebook. Okay, that was pretty quick. I was trying to do it as fast as possible. Now, next one, we're going to go over every single problem. So that's going to take us a while. But you don't have to do every single problem with me. You can go ahead and do it on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and go over every single problem just in case someone's having trouble with this next exercise, okay? So that's the first page. So I'll be doing the next page pretty soon. Hello guys, so today we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and focus on page number 21. This is going to be all the examples we're going to do. I'm going to try and not mess it up this time. It's going to be a long video, so I'm going to try and go as fast as possible. We're going to be following the rules that we just learned from the other video. So the rule number 1 is I need to multiply my coefficients. That means the numbers outside. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply the radicands, the numbers inside. Once I do that, if I can simplify, I'm going to go ahead and simplify. Okay, those are 3 steps that you always have to do. And we're going to go ahead and do it for this problems. Now, problem number 1, I have negative 6 times negative 7. Let me make it a little bigger. That way we can see what's going on. There we go. That's the first thing I need to do, which I already know my answer. It's going to be negative 42. Okay, pretty easy. Now remember, we always put the same radical that we're using. So right now we're using the square root. So I'm going to put a square root. And then I'm going to multiply my 2 numbers on the inside, which is 12 and 8. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm not actually going to multiply them yet. Well, what I mean is that I'm not actually going to combine them and see what it gets me. I'm going to go ahead and put them both inside of my radical, and then I'm going to simplify them separately. Why? Because I don't want to do extra steps. If I did the other way, I would have to multiply them 12 times 8, which gives me 96. But then I need to find 2 factors that give me 96. But instead of doing that, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this guy right here. So what gets me 12 is 3 and 4. What gets me 4? 2 and 2. Same thing over here. 8 gives me 2 and 4. And then I'm going to get 2 and 2. Now, because we're doing square root doesn't have an index right here, that means I'm going to be doing groups of 2. Yes, I'm going to do groups of 2. I'm going to underline everything. My groups go outside. Those 2 are going to go outside. So what is that going to give me? 42 times 2 is 84. And times 2 is 168. But don't forget, there's a negative in front. And now I'm going to do the square root. And what 2 numbers I have inside? This 3 and this 2. So my answer is going to be 6. So my answer is negative 168 square root of 6. Alright, that one was a kind of weird one to start with, but that's okay. Let's go with number 2. Okay, you guys gotta start understanding how all of this works. Now, like we always say, these radicals have a 1 in front. Okay, so that means I'm gonna have to multiply my outsides, and then later I'm gonna have to multiply my insides right here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the outside. So what's 1 times 1? 1. So I'm going to keep it. And then now I'm going to multiply the insides, but I'm going to keep the same radical. What is 3 times 6? Is 18. But like I said, I'm not going to do that because that's a waste of time. I'm just going to rewrite both numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and simplify. 3 is a prime number, so we don't have to simplify, but 6 we do. So I'm going to have 3 and 2. So how many 3's do I have in this problem? Yes, I have a pair of 3's right here, and I have a lonely 2. Now remember, what do we do with our pairs? We take them outside, so I'm going to have 3 square root of 2 for this one. All right, pretty straightforward. Okay, we're just multiplying the numbers on the outside and multiplying the numbers on the inside. And I want you guys to go ahead and do what I'm doing right here. You're going to notice I'm doing my 2 lines, right? I do my line on the top and then my line on the bottom. Keep doing that every single problem because that's literally going to help you memorize and internalize how to do the problems properly. Okay, we're going to keep going. There we go. Now I'm going to multiply my two numbers on the outside, which I have -1 and -5, which gives me a positive. Two negatives make it positive, okay? Then I'm going to do the square root, and I'm going to multiply 20 times 6. But like I always say, don't combine them. Just leave them like that. And then we're just going to simplify them both separately. So what gives me 20? 4 and 5. What gives me 6? 2 and 3. Okay, what gives me 4? 2 and 2. Do I have any groups? Yes, I have one tiny group right here, and then I have 3 numbers by themselves. Now, because I have 3 numbers, I need to multiply all those 3 and leave them inside. So my answer is going to be on the outside 10. Square root of 2 times 5, which is 10, and times 3, 30. We're going to go ahead and have 10 square root of 30. Not too shabby yet, okay? Not too shabby. Now let's go. That's already 4 problems down. We have a couple more. Now, this one, I want to go and be very specific on this one. Now, this problem is going to be slightly different from the other ones because it's going to be specific. What I'm trying to say is going to have to do a specific rule. And this rule is called distribution. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before. I'm confident you have, but you probably forgot. So, distribution. Make sure you write it right here. And I'm just going to write distribute. Now, what that means is that before I do anything, I have to go ahead and multiply my stuff or my number or whatever it might be, the thing on the outside inside to the parentheses. So it's going to multiply. Those two are going to multiply. And then this guy and this guy are going to multiply. Okay? So this one's slightly different than the other one. And let's go ahead and work it out. So let's do the top one first, right here. That one right here. Now, as you notice, one of them has a radical and the other one doesn't. Now, I'm not going to put that 5 inside with the 8. Mainly because it's not inside a radical. You only put stuff that's inside a radical with stuff inside. Now, in this case, what do I have on the outside of my radical right here? I have a 1, an invisible 1. So the 5 and the 1 are actually going to multiply first with those two. Oh my god, I'm getting too many messages from the teachers. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 1 times 5, which is 5. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and write my square root of 8. Because I don't have anything on the 5 to multiply with anything with the 8. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply the square root of 8 with the square root of negative, or the negative square root of 3. Which is going to give me, obviously, negative square root of 3 times 8. Perfect. Now we're just going to have to go ahead and simplify. Let's simplify the first one, which gives me 2 and 4. And then I can change it to 2 and 2. Second one, same thing. I have a 3 there, but I'm going to have what? 2 and 4, and then 2 and 2. There we go. We're done. We're going to circle every group that we have of 2, and then we're going to underline any loners. Okay, let's do this one first, the one that has the 5 in front. So what is going to be 2 times 5? It's going to be 10. Then I'm going to have the square root of 2. Because that's the only number that's going to be left over. Now, minus, what number is going to come out? The 2. So I'm going to go ahead, take out the 2 out. Now, what number is going to stay? I have 2 numbers staying. So I have the 3 and I have the 2. So what's 2 times 3? 6. All right. And now, can we subtract them to each other? The answer is a big no. Why? Because whenever you're adding and subtracting radicals, you need to have the same index and also the same radicand. In this case, we don't have the same radicand, so my answer is just going to be that right there. 10 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 6. And let me square all my answers just so you guys can see. I forgot to square them for you guys. Sorry. Oh my god, that one disappeared. Let me see if I can go back. There we go. There we go. That one's my answer for that one. And we gotta keep going. We gotta go ahead and do the entire worksheet because I want to make sure you guys have all of this on there. Now, if you think you already got the idea of the entire examples here and the entire method of multiplying radicals, you guys can go ahead and try them out and just look at the answers. Okay? At the end, I'm gonna, for the most part, show you the work and leave like everything there so you guys can see it for a little bit. Alright, so at this point, it's gonna be the same thing that we did in the last one. We're gonna distribute. So I'm gonna distribute the square root of 2 with a 2. And I'm gonna distribute the square root of 3 with a 6. I think I said it wrong, but yes, I'm gonna multiply those two first. The square root of 3 and 2, and then the square root of 3 and the square root of 6. So let's go ahead and do that. So the square root of 3 times square root of 2 is gonna give me 2 square root of 3. Okay, now the other one, I'm going to put the plus, and I'm going to do the square root. And remember, whenever you multiply two radicals together, you need to multiply the coefficients in the front, which is 1 here, which gives me a 1 here. And now I'm going to multiply the two things on the inside. So it's going to be 3 times 6. Okay, once I have this, I'm going to simplify the 6, which is going to give me 2 and 3. Okay. Now, this is what I want you guys to see. I'm going to be able to do a group of 3. What do we do with the groups? We put them outside. So I'm going to have 2 square root of 3 plus 3. And what number is going to be laying inside? The 2, because he doesn't have a partner. So it's going to be 3 square root of 2. Okay, pretty straightforward. I'm trying to go as fast as possible. So if you're having trouble, just make sure you take it a little slower. Now, this one's going to be a little different from the other one, but still the same thing. We're distributing the same thing. So I'm going to multiply this with this and this with that. I should have done it that way. The other ones, let me go ahead and change that real quick. I mean, I don't want to have to redo the video, so I'm just going to go ahead and showcase that. That's so you know that I'm multiplying those two together. So those two together and those two together. And over here we did exactly the same thing. We multiplied those two together. I'm trying to erase everything real quick. There we go. We're done with those. So I'm going to multiply this with this and this with this. Now let's go with the next problem. Now, I like this one because now we have numbers and now we have square roots and we're going to have to focus on. So let's worry about the first two. So I'm going to go ahead and do, oops, that's not what I'm going to go ahead and do this two right here. Okay, so I'm going to multiply those two. So outers first. So what's going to be 2 trying to erase everything. What is going to be 4 times 2? Okay, because we have to do outers first and then we have to do inners. Okay, so on the outers, 4 times 2 is 8. On the inside, we're going to have the square root of 2, and then we're going to multiply by the square root of 6. So we write it in one radical, and then we're going to put both numbers inside. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and multiply them. I'm just going to go ahead and simplify the 6. So I'm going to have a 2 and a 3. And you can already see I have a group of 2's right there. What do we do with the groups? We put them outside. What do I have outside already? 8. So 8 times 2 is 16. We keep the same radical. And what number is going to stay inside? The only number that doesn't have a partner. He can't go to the party, so he's going to go ahead and stay inside. So we're going to have 16 square root of 3. For the first one, now we have to do exactly the same thing with the 5. Now, in order to make it easier on me, I'm going to go ahead and write it over here on the side. And I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 lines. So I'm going to multiply this with this. And then I'm going to multiply with this with that right there. Okay? So what is 5 times 4 is 20. Now, square root of 2 times 2. So I'm just going to write 2 times 2. And guess what? I have a group right here. What do you think is going to happen with the group? It's going to go on the outside, so it's going to be plus 40, right? Because 2 times 20 took me a while. I'm kind of tired, so 2 times 20 is 40. Okay, now I'm not going to write my radical because if you notice, I don't have any remainders. If you don't have any remainders, your radical disappears. So my answer is going to be 16 square root of 3 plus 40. Okay, I know this one looks a little weird, but that's how we're going to do it, okay? Just a step at a time. All right, let's go to 7. You know, we're almost done in how? Only 14 minutes? Ooh, we're killing this one, aren't we? Now, this one I want you guys to put, FOIL. So number 7 is going to be FOIL method. Now, if you remember, FOIL method is you're going to grab your first one. It's going to go ahead and multiply with the first. First, multiply with second. And then we're going to do the other. We're going to grab the second one number with the first. Second number with the... Let me use a different color. I think orange is a little bit weird. Let me use a darker color. There we go. Let me go ahead. What? It didn't change. I'm getting line 2. There we go. Let's erase this because I can barely see it. If I can barely see it, I'm pretty sure you guys are not going to be able to see it. There we go. We're going to be doing FOIL method, so that's going to be the 2 things that we're going to do here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the first thing. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And let me make my eraser a little bigger. There we go. Easy. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times 6, which is 12. Yay. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, which is going to be 2 times square root square root of 5, which is going to be negative. I need to keep the sign. And then it's going to be, 2 square root of 5. Okay, it's just going to stay in the front. Now we're going to go ahead and do the second part, which I'm going to go ahead and do 5 times the square root of 6, which in this case is going to be plus, because it's positive, right? 6 square root of 5. And then we're going to multiply the square root of 5 with the square root of 5. But it's negative, so we're going to keep it negative. So I'm going to have square root of 5. Now, because I have a radicals multiplying, what do? Yes, we're going to write both of them inside. And we're just going to multiply them together. Now, we have a lot of stuff going on right here. So what we need to do, we need to start simplifying. We need to start adding or subtracting like terms. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this bad boy right here. Now, I do have a group of 5. So what do we do with the groups? They go outside. So my actual problem is going to be 12 minus 2 square root of 5 plus 6 square root of 5 minus 5. Now, as you can see, I can add those two together and I can combine the other two as well. But make sure you keep an eye on the signs. For example, I have 12 minus 5, or 12 and negative 5, right? If you want to look at it that way. So that's going to give me what? A positive 7. They're subtracting to each other, right? What am I doing? I think I was going to put 17. There we go. Positive 7. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 in the middle right here. Okay. So negative 2. Oh, before I even say anything, you're going to notice that I have a plus. I have both of them have the same index. Both of them have the same radicand. So I can go ahead and add them together. So negative 2 square root of 5 plus 6 square root of 5. Now, again, they're going to subtract to each other, but I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger one. So it's going to be 4 square root of 5. Now, this is going to be my answer. This is basically it. Pretty straightforward. Now, tomorrow, I'm probably going to go ahead and put you guys in groups. Mainly because I want to make sure you guys are helping each other out, kind of figuring things out. Because once we start getting to problems like number 8, I know 100% that a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions, okay? So it's okay if you have questions. That's what I'm going to put you in groups. Hopefully in your groups, you're going to be able to get that help that you need. Just in case, because I mean, some of my classes are really big. I cannot help everybody during one class period. I always recommend you guys either come, well, mainly right now, come in the morning, like on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can always come in the morning because I'm always there. Pretty early too. I usually get there around 7:30. So if you show up at 7:30, I can help you guys out quite a bit. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing that we did before. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the first number, multiply with this, the 3 square root of 10, and then multiply with a negative 2. Okay, let's do that first. So 6 square root of 2 times 3 square root of 5. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my 2 lines. Those 2 are going to multiply. Those 2 are going to multiply. Okay, remember, radicals, multiply radicals together, and multiply coefficients together. So what's 3 times 6 is 18. Square root, because we're doing square roots again, of 20. That's 2 times 10. Okay, we're done with the first one. Now we have to do the same thing with the second one, right? I'm going to erase this one. And erase that one. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it with the 2. Now, but because I don't have radicand, the only thing that's going to happen is the 6 is going to multiply with a 2, and that's it. That's all that's going to happen there. But I make sure I put the negative. So negative 12 square root of 2. And I keep my radical. You see? Pretty forward. Pretty straightforward. Now let's keep going. So we're going to do this one now. So we're going to have 4 times 3, and then we're going to have 5 times 10. So 4 times 3 is 12. And it's positive, right? Because the 4 is positive and the 3 is positive, so plus. And now I'm going to do the square root. And what am I going to have? 50. There we go. Now we do the final step, which is multiplying the 4 and the negative 2, because this 2 doesn't have a radical, so that's why I can do that. So I'm going to do negative 8 square root of 5. Now you're going to notice something. I should have not done something that I did in this one that I keep telling you guys to not do. I'm going to go ahead and change a couple things. That should not be 20. That should be 2 times 10. And this one should not be 50. It should be 5 times, you guessed it, 10. Yeah. No, it's like getting confused there. 5 times 10. Okay, pretty straightforward now. We just need to simplify those guys. So it's going to be 2 and 5. And this one's going to be 5 and 2. You see how much easier that is instead of me doing 50? Because 50, I need to figure out 2 numbers. I could do 2 and 25, right? And also we could do what? 5 and 10. But I already have my factors, so there's no point of me of multiplying them together. I just write them together inside. That's what I want you guys to take out of this. I don't know if I did it for the other ones. No, for the other ones, we do it correctly. But for this ones, I do want you guys to focus on just leaving both of the factors inside and just simplify them. For example, we have right here, we have a group. What do we do with the groups? We put them outside. So this one's going to be 2 times 18, which is 36, square root of 5. Then minus 12, square root of 2. That one doesn't change. That one's going to stay the same. Now over here, what 2 numbers do I have? 5 and 12. So if I'm multiplying together, I get what? 60? Square root of 2 minus 8 square root of 5. Now, like I mentioned before, you have 2 like terms. You have those 2 who are like term. They have the same index, same radicand, and those 2 are like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify those. So let's start with 36. Let's say I do not know how to do the 36 minus 8, so I'm going to put it in my calculator and see what we get. There we go. 28, right? Then square root of 5. So I'm done with this one. And I'm done with this one. Now I'm going to do my two insides. So I have negative 12 plus 60. Again, I'm going to do negative 12. So in your calculator, just in case you don't know how to do it, negative 12 plus 60 gives me a positive 48. Nice. So I have two positive answers. Then square root of 2. Okay, because whenever you're adding and subtracting radicals, you always keep the same radical. That's going to be my answer. We're almost done. We're just one away. I know this video is super long, but it's mainly for people who really need the help. If you guys think you could have gotten it from the very beginning, you could have actually tried it out and just check your answers at the very end, because I'm going to be showing the whole work at the end. Now, let's do this one. Now, this one, you're going to notice that you only have one, but notice the exponent. That means that I can go ahead and rewrite this one as 4 square root of 3 minus 2, and then times 4 square root of 3 minus 2. Now we can do exactly the same thing that we were doing before. We're going to go ahead and do the FOIL method. So I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply to this guy, okay? So the way that we're going to go ahead and do that is I'm going to multiply the 4 right here, and I'm going to multiply with this 4, and I'm going to multiply this 3 with this 3. So what do we get? We're going to get 16 square root of 9. But you see, I did the same mistake. Don't write the multiplication. Just go ahead and write both of your factors getting multiplied inside of a radical. Why? Because it's a lot easier. Look, I can already see that I can take out the group, so I can simplify it already. So I'm going to have 16 times 3, which is 48. You see, I didn't have to do any of that, so I'm going to put 48 right here. It's 100% simplified. So I'm done with the first number. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to erase this real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply this guy. And I'm going to multiply with the 2. Okay, all I'm going to really do is I'm just going to multiply my coefficients and keep the same radical. So let's go ahead and do that. So what is going to be 2 times negative, or 4 times negative 2? Negative. Where is it? Okay, negative 8 square root of 3. Okay, I'm going to keep that. That's my second one. So now I'm done with this guy. Now I'm going to focus with the negative 2. Same thing that we did before. I'm going to go ahead and grab my negative 2, multiply with this guy. So I'm just going to multiply with my coefficients. So again, I'm going to get negative 8 square root of 3. Finally, I'm going to get 2 times negative 2. So two negatives multiplied together, it becomes positive and is 4. Now, what is going to be 48? Well, let me point my like terms and my like terms. So my numbers are my like terms. So it's 48 plus 4, which is going to give me 52. And now I have negative 8 minus 8, which is still negative, and it's going to be negative 16 square root of 3. Let me rewrite that real quick. It doesn't look that pretty. There we go. And that's my answer. I know the answers are kind of crazy, but that's it. We finished the entire thing in about 28 minutes. I know it's a lot, so I just want to make sure I finished it. Watch the entire video if you had to. If you watched the entire thing, God bless. It was quite big. So, what we're going to go ahead and do, just go ahead and check your answers. I'm going to leave those 3 right there. Those are my answer for those. Now, if I made any mistakes, make sure you double check. Make sure you write it down. Now, this is going to be my answer for this one. There we go. I'm going to leave it there for a little while. Check all your answers. And I'm going to leave my answer right there. Check all your final answers. Let me make this one slightly larger just because it's kind of hard to see the last couple There we go. I'm sorry I'm not gonna be there. It's just I have something came up and I won't be there in school, but just bear with me. I'll be there in the next day and I'll try and help you guys even more. Like I said, make sure you come in the mornings if you need a lot more help. I'll definitely stay with you guys and help you guys out. My whole goal this year is make sure all my students kind of understand everything that we're doing. And if you don't show up or if you're having trouble, and I can't help you, okay? So I cannot usually help everybody in the class, even though I wish I could. That's why I'm gonna try and get you guys to kind of help each other out while I'm trying to help some of the groups. All right, have a great day, guys. So just take care.